By the way, we have to talk about this. This is going to sound, speaking of two justice systems, this is going to sound like a story we already did. I know you're going to say, David, I know you did that story. It is not an old story. It happened again. Radical, repugnant, Trumpist Congressman Madison Cawthorn has been caught with a gun at an airport again. Now, I know you remember the story, or you might. It's because it's happened multiple times. In August of 2021, we did the story. Madison Cawthorn tried to board a plane with a gun because he did. It was in his carry-on. He said, I didn't know it was in my carry-on. That's what we call negligent gun ownership. You don't know where the gun is? That's not very responsible. He had another run-in with the law involving weapons. In September 21st of 2021, Madison Cawthorn brought a big knife to a school board meeting. Those aren't allowed in schools, but he is not going to be charged for that either. And now we have yet another story. Congressman Madison Cawthorn cited for a loaded gun, loaded in his bag at an airport checkpoint. This was this week, folks. Madison Cawthorn was cited Tuesday for having a gun at a security checkpoint at Charlotte Airport. This is the second time he's violated rules that prohibit traveling with firearms and carry-on bags. Cawthorn was cited for possession of a dangerous weapon on city property and then released. Authorities took possession of the loaded gun, which is standard procedure. According to the TSA, this happened around 9 a.m. A TSA officer spotted the gun in a bag. The police say Cawthorn stated the firearm was his and he was cooperative. A report from Charlotte Police on Twitter says on Tuesday, yesterday, April 26th, police officers assigned to the airport were notified by the TSA that a firearm was located in a bag at a security screening checkpoint. Responding officers identified the owner of the bag as David Madison Cawthorn. Cawthorn stated the firearm was his and he was cooperative with officers. A police report indicates officers recovered a Staccato C2 firearm magazine and 9mm rounds of ammunition. The gun was loaded. So is there going to be any serious repercussion for Madison Cawthorn? You claim to be for law and order. Just follow the law. Now, how many times are you allowed to be caught with firearms at airport security before you get put on a no-fly list? And by the way, loaded. It's against the law to bring on a carry-on a gun, even if it is unloaded. This was a loaded firearm. This is the epitome of irresponsible gun ownership. Gun owners should know where their guns are at all times. If you're unaware of where your firearm is, that is negligent gun ownership. And number two, you should not be carrying the firearms around loaded in this way. I understand if you are someone who concealed carries or open carries, your firearm's going to be loaded. That's sort of like the point. Here we're talking about a very different situation where you are you're traveling, you're going through airport security. My friends who have firearms, and again, I never talk about a lot of times people ask about my personal gun ownership and stuff like I just don't talk about that. I don't see any reason to talk about that. But my friends who have firearms have theirs locked unless in transit or in use. And if you're careless with a firearm, if you don't know where it is, if it's loaded when it's supposed to be unloaded, it's not responsible gun ownership by its very definition. And we've talked about this before in the context of there was an accidental shooting. Well, what you mean is there was a negligent discharge of a firearm. You didn't mean to fire it and you fired it. That's irresponsible, with the very rare exception of the spontaneously firing weapon. I know we once interviewed a lawyer about, I believe it was a Remington rifle defect where it would sometimes quite literally spontaneously fire. That's, 0.001% of these situations. If the gun fires and you fired it accidentally, that is a negligent discharge. And it's often just said it was just an accident. An accident. We're talking about a negligent discharge and irresponsible gun ownership. And Madison Cawthorn's behavior with firearms is extraordinarily irresponsible. What should happen to him? I don't know. Airports and airport police have long had significant discretion when this happens. You can go on YouTube and find many examples of people who bring a firearm or attempt to bring it through security. And it's not uncommon that, well, they're cooperative and the gun is kept at the airport until they come back or whatever. With Madison Cawthorn, it's now become a habitual thing. And we're talking about loaded rather than unloaded guns. I don't know what should happen, but it doesn't really seem like it's being taken seriously by the justice system. Let me know your thoughts. We'll take a quick break and be right back. If you're looking for a therapist or seeking treatment for mental health or substance abuse, check out Compassionate Care. Compassionate Care is a medical practice offering mental health treatment that's affordable and remote in the comfort of your home. Compassionate Care offers remote talk therapy to patients nationwide. You can establish a meaningful long-term relationship without having to drive to an office for every appointment. Psychiatry services are available remotely to patients in Pennsylvania and New York. Compassionate Care offers medication-assisted treatment for opioid or alcohol addiction with the medications buprenorphine and naltrexone, available in Pennsylvania, New York, and Delaware. Compassionate Care does not require insurance. They're a small independent practice. They support the David Pakman Show, and you can support them, and they're ready to talk to you. Get a free consultation by calling 855-208-2408 or go to caredrs.com. The link is down below.